We've been talking for a year now that millionaires are leaving high tax and low freedom countries in search of low tax and higher freedom countries, and there's more evidence that the places you think millionaires are moving, the places that you think are the land of opportunity, are losing their allure in a big way. This is from Bloomberg, and the headline says that the U.S. is losing its allure as a residence for millionaires. The U.S. no longer the millionaire magnet that it was before the pandemic, as net inflows of high net worth individuals have plunged more than 80% just last year compared with pre-COVID levels. What you're seeing is two things. You're seeing that people are increasingly not interested in moving to the United States and similar Western countries for their land of opportunity. And at the same time, you're seeing people who are already living in the US, and from our experience helping clients from Canada, Australia, Germany, etc., people in those countries are moving out with their millions because they're tired of the high taxes, they're tired of the attacks on their freedom. Bloomberg says the net inflow of high net worth individuals is down by 80% as wealthy Americans seek new pastures abroad at an unprecedented rate, and others around the world look for other places to move. As I've always said, if you're going to move, you might as well move. And if you're an American thinking moving to Florida is going to lower your taxes, it's going to increase your cost of living in many cases, and it's only going to decrease your taxes by a wee little bit. So if you're already moving, whether it's from the United States or whether it's from an emerging country, why would you move to a place where they're going to take 40 to 50% of your money in taxes? Why would you move to a country where the freedom scores are going in the wrong direction? And so it talks about, Bloomberg, the fact that the only people that were looking for mass levels of migration services, let's say a decade ago, were from Russia, from China, where people have kind of a built-in distrust of their societies, something that you're seeing building up more in Western countries. I think Westerners often try and fight it like, yeah, but it's still the best country in the world. Yeah, Russians and Chinese and people in some of the Arab countries, they don't have that. They're like, yeah, this place, it's my home, but it's falling apart. Americans in particular like to, complain about the direction their country's going, but it's still the best. That is changing though. More and more people are saying, all right, listen, I get it. I need to get a second passport. I cannot trust this country. Taxes are not going to stop going up. Politicians are not going to stop demanding more of me. So the shift in the last 10 years has been Russians, Chinese, Arabs, developing nations. They're the ones who want second passports. They're the ones who want to move to Dubai. They're the ones who are moving to other places. That is changing. We have seen huge numbers of Americans going to Portugal. Now they're closing their golden visa program. So unless you want to actually move there and get a self-sufficient visa, that option is going to be out. We're seeing people go to Switzerland, Ireland, Italy, Greece is even popping up. People are moving to countries like that. They're moving to Dubai in the UAE. Real estate prices have doubled. It is, for luxury real estate, almost as expensive to buy property in Dubai as it is in New York or London now. Except in Dubai, you don't have those pesky income taxes that you pay through the nose in Dubai. And if you're from London, at least you would pay in London. Bloomberg says because millionaires have the luxury of mobility, their movements can be a barometer for the health of an economy or society, providing an early warning signal into future country trends. And so it goes on to say where millionaires are moving. What's the number one country? Well, you wouldn't be surprised if you know where prices are going up. While prices are going down by as much as 45% on real estate in countries like the US, and over 500 cities have not increased real estate values since the end of the GFC in the US. In the UAE, prices have doubled or more than doubled in many cases. And so the UAE tops where millionaires have been moving in the last year. Number two is Australia, and those people will eventually learn they made a mistake. That's okay. We're all allowed to make mistakes. Number three is Singapore, which just quadrupled the price to get in. So those folks are going to be happy they got in before the price quadrupled, which is something I always tell you to do. Do what you want now. Put your backup plan in place, have multiple passports, multiple residences, have a home or two, have a bank account or two, because these conditions almost never get easier. Where did it get easier to get citizenship recently? Where did the price go down? It went down in Egypt. You want to get Egyptian citizenship? Hey, it might be not a bad sixth citizenship for somebody, or for someone who really wants to do business in Middle East, North Africa. For most of you, you're going to say, I don't want Egyptian citizenship. Yeah, well, everything else is going up in price. Singapore's number three. Canada, again, they'll learn their lesson, number four. Switzerland, number five, and the United States came in number six. The United States, within the last decade, was number one on that list. But now they're sixth, followed by Israel, and then Portugal, which has done an incredible job coming up until they decided, hey, no more golden visas. You can still move to Portugal if you actually want to move there. There are programs to move that are actually relatively affordable. Greece, which has rolled out tax incentives, same as Portugal. Greece has rolled out tax incentives on pensions. They've rolled out a lump sum tax. You pay one amount of tax. If you don't have a pension, you just earn money, you can get a lump sum tax. And they're followed by New Zealand, which has raised their prices dramatically as well. So Australia, Singapore, and New Zealand have dramatically increased their prices. One of those countries is very tax-friendly, Singapore. One could be kind of sort of tax-friendly, New Zealand. One is not tax-friendly at all, Australia. But look at the other countries. UAE, for example, Switzerland, Portugal, Greece. These are places that are, in many circles, known for being very tax efficient. The UAE most obviously, but people don't realize that even European countries are rolling out great tax incentives where in Italy, for example, you pay 100,000 euros flat, you're done. You made 100 million euros this year, that's great. Give us the 100,000 and we'll leave you alone. Portugal has its NHR regime, which they've taken a little bit of the teeth out, but it's still possible for entrepreneurs running businesses in the low seven figures. I think it's not a bad deal. Greece, doing a similar program. Switzerland always had its lump sum. Singapore, great territorial tax. You pay only on money that you make in Singapore. So if you're bringing in tons of money, dividends, capital gains not taxed, your foreign income not taxed. That's where people are moving. That's the trend. And so again, as recently as 2014, the US had the largest net inflows of net worth individuals of people with $1 million or more, but it's now sixth. People are still coming. But what have I told you from day one of Nomad Capitalist? 10 years I've been telling you. Countries are brands, like Coca-Cola. And the United States is Coca-Cola. And guess what? You know what? I'm a business owner. I've always believed in sales, and I believed in marketing. Right? Many of you are here watching because we know how to market, we know how to present these ideas, and you can take them or you can leave them. But we've presented the ideas, and a lot of people have realized in those 10 years that there's some validity to the idea that you need options outside of your country. But the United States has been Coca-Cola. To their credit, they have been the name brand for anyone who wants opportunity. Even people from Canada and the UK and Ireland that I know have moved to the US because they want to start their business there. And I think that luster is starting to fade. Because who wants to start a business and pay taxes to the nose and then go out and drive on roads that have potholes in them when you can move to Singapore or Dubai or even Kuala Lumpur or many other places and you have better services, you have better private market services, and you pay very little, if nothing, in tax. There's something for everybody. If you want the culture of Italy or Portugal or Greece and those European vibes, you can get it. If you want the efficiency of Switzerland, you can have it, or Singapore. Right? If you want the laid-back, tropical nature of a place like a Bangkok or a Kuala Lumpur or a Panama City, you can have that. People are realizing there are plenty of options, and as service standards, my friends tell me in the US, they're not as good as they were 10 years ago. I sometimes think, oh, the cable guy, I called and he came that afternoon, and I called my friend in like Chicago. He's like, I called the cable guy, it took him 2 weeks and they hang up on me. Service is getting worse in the US. It's getting better in other countries. I mean, you go to Dubai, things are really going very well there these days. I mean, there's really a lot of opportunity. A lot of wealthy people are moving in. So the idea that like, well, I got to be surrounded by other wealthy people, they're all in Dubai now, right? I knew a guy, he just has the car go and pick up one wealthy person after another. You go to his house and it's just like, all right, sorry, it's 6 o'clock, the billionaire's coming. And then the next day, and there's so many successful people there now. So what have we been telling you? Economic freedom in the US, and I'm not just picking on the US, this is kind of a general trend in the West, but economic freedom has been going down pretty much every year since I started following it a quarter of a century ago. Personal freedom has been going down. A lot of people realizing their country does not care about them, won't support them, will restrict their freedoms over the last couple of years. Culture going in the wrong direction. If you go to the UAE, nobody's looking to get up in your business about how much money you make or how you need to pay more of your fair share. You can still go there and pay zero. And people are like, hey, that's the system that we want. And so if you believe in that, there's a place where you can go. You don't have to sit in the US and hope and pray the politicians will lower your taxes on 37 to 35%. It's not going to go in that direction long term. The millionaires are voting with their feet. They're going to the UAE, they're going to Singapore, they're going to Switzerland, they're going to countries in Europe that are incentivizing people with lower taxes and easier immigration to come. Now, these countries may change a little bit, but the general trend remains the same. And if you are a millionaire, if you have a high income, then this is what Nomad Capitalist does. We help people figure out, how do I move from the US, from Canada, from Australia? How do I get out of the tax system there and get into the tax system somewhere more fair? How do I get citizenship in that country? Or if I move to a country like the UAE where I can't, or Switzerland where I may not, Where do I get my second citizenship? So if I want to distance myself from my country, I can. Where do I incorporate my business? Because if I'm living in Portugal, I don't want to incorporate in Portugal. I want to live in Portugal or Greece or Italy and take advantage of the tax incentives, but have my company somewhere else. And how do I make that all work in a seamless, holistic way without having to hire 12 different lawyers and play general contractor connecting them? Well, that's where Nomad Capitalist comes in. We'd be happy to help you complete your own millionaire migration. This trend is not going to change. Real estate prices in the US, they're going down. Inventory's going up. I'm not saying it's going to be a total collapse, but it is going in the wrong direction because it got too overheated. In a place like the UAE, prices keep going up. They won't go up forever, but they are at crazy levels now because everyone's moving there. Maybe you should too.